what's going on, family? Listen, we've had a lot of amazing guests on the show, and perhaps you may have never, ever listened to those episodes. So we wanted to present a new segment called SONW Classic, where we go back, we revisit those iconic conversations, and give those full episodes back to you. Sit back and enjoy this week's SONW Classic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. I'm excited for this next guest because I think she's just so bold in everything she does, but also she's a copy expert and the author of something you got to hear called Tough Titties. Ladies and gentlemen, Laura is on the show today. How are you?
I'm great. I was going to ask how family friendly this needs to be, but since you announced my book title, I'm guessing it's okay.
Hey,
whatever I say.
Hey, it's personality. It's who makes you who you are, it's character, and I'm all here for it. Somebody right now is just listening to the podcast, right? They're like, all right, who's Laura? You hyped her up. I got to go through the show notes. I got to click her Instagram handles. Tell us a little bit about, life for you growing up. Like, where are you from?
Oh, I'm from New York, born and raised on the Upper West Side. I grew up there in the 70s. I'm happy to date myself. I'm proud of my age. So I grew up there when it was gritty and dirty and filled with muggers and pimps and hookers and all the kinds of people who'd rub up against you in the arcade when you were playing video games. So that's where I'm from. One thing from growing up that I think did affect me and who I am is seeing my parents. What I got from mine was permission to be a late bloomer. Both my parents pivoted pretty late in life. My dad he worked for the airlines, for Eastern Airlines, no longer in existence, and then for American Airlines, and then switched to become a psychologist, a psychotherapist. And my mother worked in the recording industry. And she recorded like Joan Baez and Country Joe and the Fish, and she was there when they rejected Bob Dylan when he came for a recording contract. Yeah. And then she switched when I was in my teens to become a children's book editor. So both big pivots. Both of them gave up a lot of perks that I would have liked. I would have chosen for them to pivot the other way, but they were role models of like taking your time, figuring out what you want to do, not having to stick with one thing for your entire life. And I consider myself the consummate late bloomer, just in all things. I mean, I didn't learn to drive till I was 20 and then gave it up because I'm terrible at it. Didn't get married till I was 37, didn't leave the house till I was 26, didn't start my business until I was 40, and made my first million in a year at age 50. So I've taken my time. Do what you love and wait to find it. I mean, I think that in some ways that held me back because I rejected so much. I'm not somebody who dove into things like, oh, I'll just give it a try. I was very picky and like, well, I'm not going to like that. And I'm not going to like that. But on the other hand, I have given myself the grace to take my time figuring out what I really want to do and making sure that it fulfills me and that it's work that I love doing. That was always really important to me. I mean, I see a lot of people, and I'm always envious of them too, who follow the steps, who plow ahead. They know exactly what they want and they go and get it and they work and achieve and soar. But a lot of them, I feel like they crash and burn also. They burn out fast. And so I think taking my time has given me longevity, given me, I think, a different kind of stamina where I can be in this for the long haul.
There's a lot of people listening to this show that are entrepreneurs, that are, business owners, or perhaps, they're starting something completely different in the career field. What would be your advice to them that are thinking that question right now, that they don't have to put everything in their bag, but they can wait to the right time to execute?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe in starting before you're ready, and that's never been a strength of mine. It's a skill that I've developed. It's not a natural strength. I'm a waiter. I'm a holdbacker. I'm someone who loves her comfort zone. So I do believe in not following my example necessarily, and waiting to be ready to do things. I think starting before you're ready is key. I think the way to go, and this is something that I've learned over time, is velocity, the idea of momentum and velocity. Like, when you have an idea, go for it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for everybody to say that it's brilliant. In fact, that's a good way to talk yourself out of something you're excited about. You already get the done feeling from asking around and getting approval and people saying, that's awesome. You've got to do it. You already feel like you did it. So my lesson that has taken me a while to learn is actually do go for those things, like pounce on those ideas that you have, slap shit up throw shit against the wall and see what sticks.
So somebody's like listening to this podcast, and I got to ask you this question because we ask every person this question that's been on this show, whether, they've crossed this stage or whether they dropped out of school completely, asking themselves the question of the podcast: school's over, now what? What advice will Laura give?
Okay, so anybody who's like, I have to start a business because I've been immersed in this business world, and it's what everybody's saying to do, and everyone's saying don't work for the man and don't work to build somebody else's dream. If you have a longing to work for somebody, that's great too. And I think it's a really worthwhile thing to do, to go into the workforce and work around other people in a job. I'm not saying that you have to, but I am saying that, dismiss everything that you're hearing that used to be. You've got to be on this track to, you've got to become a doctor or a lawyer or have a job with job security and get 401k. And the rebellion was, no, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to start my own thing. Now the rebellious step is, I'm not going to have a business. I actually want to work for somebody. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say that is okay, because it can be incredibly fulfilling and worthwhile, and you meet people that you wouldn't normally. So that's one bit of advice. If you feel called to find a job and to work in a company, that's awesome. Now, if you feel called to start your own business, to start your own thing. So if you're that person and feel really excited about starting something of your own, one thing that I will say is nobody has to give you permission.
Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.